Hi, this is Joseph with Engadget, and I have with me here, as you can see from the box, it is LG's Optimus View. Yes, this is the very phone that was outed just before Mobile World Congress of this year, and then we saw at that event in Barcelona, and of course, has only been made available in LG's own backyard, which is South Korea. Now, we're starting the video off with the box because it's such a unique box. It's a great presentation. It's something we noted on in the actual review. So as you can see here, it's this rectangular box, very similar, as if you've ever played Trivial Pursuit, to one of those boxes that house the cards. And you simply lift it up, and you'll see here, there you see, you have the sort of resting on its side is the view, and then embedded here you have the stylus, and then behind it is some literature. So we'll pull this out for now and just give you a really brief look at what comes in here. So you have your NFC tags. These are LG Tag Plus, and there's two in here. One is configured for car mode and the other for office mode, but you can easily reprogram those, and we'll get to that in a bit. And then you have a points card here for a Melon service, which is Korea only. And then here you have your pamphlets. We're going to pull out the stylus and just give you a little look at it real quickly. This is Robertium, as LG calls it. And it says it actually right here, Robertium. This is the their stylus that comes with the View. And we'll show you in a bit. You can see from now, this is quite large for a stylus, and as you might imagine, there's nowhere to stash it on the handset itself. Underneath all this foam packaging is where you'll find your micro USB charger, the connector for the plug connector, and of course some bundled headphones. So let's clear this away. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, we can actually get a look at the phone, or as we should call it, a phablet, because it really is in between both categories. It is a smartphone, and it is just short of a tablet. You can see it's rather large, very rectangular. You can see the thick, chunky black bezel on it. This is actually a 5-inch screen, 5-inch display. It is a 1024 by 768 HD IPS panel, and it's actually rather brilliant. It is quite beautiful. The viewing angles hold up really well. It's not quite as robust as the display you get on the Galaxy Note, which is much higher, 1280 by 800, and that is HD Super AMOLED. But for what it's worth, this is it's a remarkable display, and you'll notice that immediately. And of course, since it's IPS, you don't get that crazy oversaturation. Everything's just represented, naturally enough. But we'll give you a quick device tour. So you can see here down at the bottom, you have your capacitive buttons. Of course, this is LG's own rendition of the styling. And then up top, if you can see it right there, you have your front-facing camera. And then there's a 1.3 megapixel module there. And next to it, of course, you have your sensors, your ambient sensors. And then we'll just take a look on the back. And you can see here at the top, there's the 8 megapixel rear module, the single LED flash. And then this really large logo for 4G LTE. Unfortunately, that's Korea only. So we don't get to experience that. In fact, here in the States, you can only run on GPRS data on AT&T if you have a SIM, which basically means you can't use this phone outdoors. What you will need is a Wi-Fi network, a strong Wi-Fi network, and you need to stay at home. Or a portable hotspot will work as well. Down here at the bottom, we'll tilt it to the side so you can see it better. Here is the sort of hourglass-like speaker grill. And then LG's own logo down at the bottom. And as you can tell as we're moving it back and forth in the light, this is it's plastic. It's not a premium material, and it feels like plastic, but it has some subtle grooving on it. So it is still slippery, and given the vast expanse of the handset, as you can see here, it's a bit to handle. It does a lot to sort of keep it from flying out of your hands, but still it's not quite enough. We'll just turn it on the side, and you can see here the only thing on the right side of the device is a broken volume rocker. So there's two divots here. And then on the left of the device, you can see there's nothing except here, hidden into the back casing, this is what houses the SIM. And in fact, in the box there is a little pin to pop this out and then slide it in. But you could also, we used, just a regular paper clip or even a safety pin to pop that open. The majority of ports and buttons you will find here on the top of the device. Over here, as you can see, is the 3.5mm headphone jack, and next to it you might think that's a power button, but it's not. What it does is it's a function button for the stylus, so when you trigger it, it actually takes a screen cap and allows you to write on top of it, and we'll go through that and show you that in a bit. And then here is where the micro USB port is, and we really have to say we like this implementation. It's a nice little slider that hides it. So instead of having those janky plastic housings that are so flimsy and you basically have to snap off to get to, this is nice and sturdy metallic, and you slide it back across. Over here, this large button, this would be the power button. And then next to it over here, don't be fooled, that's not the stylus. What that is a retractable antenna. To over here so you can see it. Aha! So if you want to take a step back in time, no, this isn't 2001. This is actually a TDMB TV tuner for South Korea. So you won't be able to make use of that, but you could walk around and pretend you have some very advanced retro technology in your hands. So that's about it for the outside of the device. There's obviously, as you can see, nowhere for a micro SD slot, so you can't expand the storage, but you are getting 32 gigabytes. Right off the bat. The processor inside is not state-of-the-art either. It is a Qualcomm MSM 8660, which is a Snapdragon S3 that we've seen in a host of devices, most recently even in the Xperia Ion, and that's clocked at 1.5 gigahertz, dual core. So let's pop that up. Okay, here, so you can see here's the home screen. We've applied a theme. If you go down here, you can see you have an option to apply different themes. We went for Marshmallow because we like things to be a little bit quirky and eccentric, but you can go for Biz, much more cozy wall. They have really great names. Other than that, your typical standard fare. This is Android 2.3.6 Gingerbread, and yes, it's skin. So, yes, you can all groan as you're hearing that right now, but this does not have ICS. There are plans, LG actually did announce plans to upgrade this to ICS, although specifically when that's coming wasn't exactly stated, but it's on its way. Even still, it will be one step behind now that we have Jelly Bean. So, we'll just take a quick tour through, and in fact, what we'll do is we'll use the stylus, Robertium. You can see here, it's very responsive. It's not, the zippiest experience, but we've never encountered one instance of lag while using the handset. A couple of times there were a bit of a hiccup with the browser where there was sort of a freeze that took place and we had to reboot the phone, but after that we never saw that issue again, so we're not really quite sure what caused it. Now, we're going to show you here the main issue with the implementation of this fat stylus and the phablet that it goes with it. Now, here we accessed the app drawer. We go to home, down here in the dock, go to apps. Okay. Now, say we didn't want to hit the home button, or say we were in something like message. Well, how do we go back? You have to use your finger and go down to the capacitive buttons and actually send yourself back. So unlike the Galaxy Note, where there are gestures that you can implement with the buttons that are on the actual stylus that is stashed inside the phone itself, here you have to continually break up the experience, and that's one thing we found rather disappointing and not as well thought out as one would have imagined for something that's sort of gunning to go after the Galaxy Note. Now, another thing we didn't mention before is that this phone is NFC equipped, and it has, as you saw, those stickers. So if you go in here, you can sort of see another area of disjointed thinking that went into the creation of the Optimus View. Up here at the top is the NFC app. This is the proper NFC app. If we go over one more home screen, you'll see here's the LG Tag Plus NFC app. Are they different? Not really so much. If you go into Tag Plus, you have 4 different preset modes. You have car mode, office, sleep, and user mode. Now, if you go back, and again you see we have to use our finger, to the proper NFC app, you have the ability to set contact, a URL, text, call, message, schedule to an NFC tag. Or if you go down here, you can even go into the LG tag settings. So it's not as well thought out. It's not as efficient and streamlined as it could have been. And in practice, we attempted to use the tags and program them, and it's a bit hit or miss. Sometimes we had to continually readjust the phone's placement squarely atop the tag to get the trigger. Other times we had to move it around a bit. When it works, but it's not something that we would really rely on, and you can't put these stickers on a metallic surface, otherwise you'll render them unusable. So that's about it. It's your typical standard fare here. There's a lot of bloat, and that's for LG and SK Telecom, where this phone is being marketed. And we're not Korean, so we can't really understand many of the offerings on here. But there's bloat, and it's uninstallable. That shouldn't bother you, though. All right, so now we're going to look at some of the apps that LG's bundled on here to take advantage of the Robertium stylus. So down here in the dock, if you can see, is Notebook, which is very similar to S Note on Samsung's Galaxy Note and the Galaxy Note 10.1. Here you have your templates for your different books. You can create a new one. We'll go ahead and try that. You can set the color of the cover. You can give it a different name, change the paper style, the paper color, hit OK. And you're in the note here. And as you can see up at the top, you have your options to set your text box, play with the different options for your pen, the thickness, the opacity, the color here, and of course your eraser. Then you can add an image in the background, share it, save it. It's very much basic stuff here. We'll just go ahead and start writing. And as you can see, the handwriting recognition is pretty faithful to our own scroll. But in practice, when you're actually using it for sort of the predictive qualities for handwriting recognition to text, it's completely inefficient, and it messes up more often than not. So there's really nothing much here to Notebook that we haven't seen implemented before. So we'll just go out of this and take you into Memo. And as you can see, we're going back with our finger. So now we're going to take you into Memo. Before we do that, we're going to have to go into Settings and set the keyboard. Now, here is the main issue we had with the way LG set up this phone. It's not intuitive in terms of the way you go about using the stylus. So we had to go into Language and Keyboard, and then go down into Default Keyboard, and then over here where it said English, we had to select Handwriting. And then down at the very bottom, here are your handwriting settings. Now you can set the delay time between the movement of the stylus and what shows up on screen. We went for 300 milliseconds. We tried 100, and it's just way too quick to catch anything. You can change the pen width, the color, the transparency, and then they're in the gestures. Now the gestures are nothing more than what we're going to show you in Memo. Let's go in here really quick. Go back across. Alright, so now we're in Memo, and here we go. You have this screen down here at the bottom that you can write in. So we'll go ahead and show you. You can kind of have to do it one letter at a time in order to get it to recognize what you're doing. You can't really go ahead and quickly write a full word. And then if you want to delete, and it shows you down here, you strike back. You want a space, you strike forward. And if you want to enter, you make that J. So that's about it. We can't really see this catching on, nor can we see anyone really wanting to take advantage of the stylus, considering you'd have to clip this on you somewhere or keep it in your bag. So unless you have a pocket protector, or you like to keep a very close track of peripherals, you're never going to use this, and instead you'll probably just use your own thumbs, as most people would. And we'll take you into the last notable thing, which is the camera. Now, the great thing about the Optimus View, and it's something we didn't anticipate, was just how phenomenal the camera app is here and the module. It can take up to 1080p full HD video at 30 frames per second, and it can also capture images at an astounding resolution, and we'll show you your options here. So we'll go into image size, and as you can see, if you record at if you take your images at 8 megapixels, you're capturing that at a resolution of 3264 by 2448, and of course you can downgrade from there to about 1 megapixel. In practice, the sensor on the View is absolutely phenomenal. It is incredibly intelligent. It adjusts for white balance very quickly, automatically, and almost always precisely. And in fact, when you see the resulting images in the gallery, you'll see just how vivid, crisp, and full of detail they are with balanced color. The same, however, could not be said of video on the handset. In fact, we were outside awash in full sunlight, not a cloud in the sky to sort of cast any shadow, and we wound up with sort of bleached out video. So there was the opposite effect. Instead of saturation, everything was sort of washed out, and it was rather disappointing, lending it a very blurry look. But as you can see here, as we're quickly going through the gallery, excellent representation of the scenes we were going around capturing in downtown New York. Nothing to really get too excited about. There have been sort of hints. We did see an FCC filing sort of indicating it might be heading to Verizon, although we'd be very surprised if it did, and if it did in this sort of a manner or form factor without some much needed modifications, mainly a place to stow the stylus, and maybe a less chunky bezel here. You know, the fit with the rounded sides isn't bad in hand, but otherwise it's just too unwieldy when you compare it to something like the Galaxy Note, which is much more ergonomically flush for the hand. You can see here we have that nice little snap-on cover. We'll just put them side by side, and you can see immediately that the Galaxy Note is much more made for the human hand than the alien Optimus View is. That's not to say that LG can't improve upon the formula, but as a true rival to the Galaxy Note, we found it a little bit underwhelming, and in practice it's not something you'll want as your daily driver, given that the battery on here, which is a 2080 milliamp hour, doesn't really last much more than just short of 5 hours. So anyway, that's it. This is the LG Optimus View, which is currently a South Korea only phablet. This is Joseph with Engadget. Thanks for watching.